everybody! Woo! Welcome to the very fabulous, the very extravagant Miami Grand Prix show! Yes, it's your favorite F1 streaming podcast vibe thing, Box Goss, here to bring you all the goss and all the tea at what went down at the Miami Grand Prix. Let's get into it. Oh yeah. Get into it. Okay, all right. Look at all of us dancing. We did great. We're doing better than the last show. As you can see, we have an additional face here. Woo! All the way from IB Purgatory. It is the youngest, the most ratchet of the Benini sisters.
No, that is so rude. That is
so true.
What? No. Oh, here we go. We've already started.
Oh, Afi, it's been 3 episodes too long. We've missed you, eh? We've missed you. Hey, and put that finger down, otherwise we will not get any help from you too.
Afi, please.
Anyway, welcome. Anyway, welcome back, Afi. It has been a joy, and you have been on mute the entire time. But
you really have.
I was muted. No, don't gaslight me. All of you people, I was muted. I was in the middle of yelling at all of you, and then you guys, I was muted.
Okay, we're still gaslighting you. Anyway, let's do news quickly. What news do we have? I say you're usually the best news person because I don't have anything other than what Benetton said.
I mean, so apparently the crypto market crashed, which is really awful because the title sponsor for the race is Crypto.com. That's tough. That's real tough.
The pinnacle of motorsport. The sport kills me sometimes. And the way that we're advertising that all over the airport too with, what is it called? Lewis's face on it. Or was it the Mercedes the sponsor, right?
That was Mercedes sponsored FTX.
Yeah. I believe Crypto.com sponsors Aston Martin as well.
In fact, 9 out of the 10 teams have crypto sponsors.
And just like that, we've lost the Fishika.
Has she left or has she?
No, she's just turned off her video. We should also clarify that before we... I guess this is great. It's great. Oh, we can't wait to have her on. She just wrote something in the chat. Crypto is the new rich energy. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we were banting before the show, and our lovely guest, who introduced very shortly, made a comment that about Aston Martin, which unfortunately is still getting a lot of heat, even as we start this show. Speaking of which, actually, before I preface that, this show is recorded because we are all very busy, glamorous people. So we all need to. So we needed to. Well, I mean, there is one. Anyways,
media.
Well, it's tradition.
Studying. I just got here,
and we need to make up for like the last 3 episodes. Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
This is recorded, but we will be in the chat live. So feel free to hit us up with all your quick takes as well as the show goes on. But the only news I have was also to do with the race, and Benetton. That's so mean. I shouldn't say his name like that, especially since he's leading a team currently, and he's leading the team.
He's doing well. He's doing well.
He's doing very well. Doesn't think that Red Bull will be able to keep spending the way it is to be able to keep up with its speed. And I'm just curious, do we think Red Bull's burning through money like that?
No.
Yeah.
Like, is that spending cap's going to be a problem?
Wait, who said this?
I can't say his name.
Benetton. Yeah.
Thank you.
I
said it.
I think but the thing is, I don't think it's by choice that Red Bull is spending money like that. Their car is unreliable. Like they're just going through too many issues, and that's why they need to spend their money. But they do need to be careful because they are like compared to. I mean, we always look at like the big three teams: Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes. But like
they're still getting.
No. Mercedes needs to watch out. But with looking at the reliability of all the three like teams, Red Bull is at the bottom. They need to watch out. They are spending a lot of money at the moment.
I mean, and also to add to that, it's also, I mean, in some cases, like in some cases, I mean, no, what is there to say? Like in some cases, it kind of depends on the payoff, whether it really is worth it to have a car that wins you races, but at the same time could clunk out on you at the last minute. Like it's starting to become. It's not just the spending cap that they have to worry about. There are points as well in play as well too, and it's like sometimes, and also maybe. The best option and sometimes the best option is just getting the car over the line rather than going to win and losing your car.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, consider at least the money's being put to good use because honestly, they've gotten both their cars home in the last two races. So they're doing something right. I mean, hopefully they don't have to spend too much more. But like they're clearly doing something right over here with that. No one else has any more news. Was all the news just like Michelle Obama showing
Lewis
up?
Hamilton's picture. He looks very good in just the jackets and pants. So, yep. What?
You are lucky. I do not have my bleep button today.
And I also do not have a buzzer. My buzzer is still in Ghana. So you are very, very much in trouble at Fee. So please stop talking. That being said, Hamilton did bring his fashion game. Actually, all of the drivers did very well. To be honest, a good job. Like
Ricardo, he had some pretty good outfits.
Like his shirt and all of that, that was a vibe. Which, like, tell him, weren't you wearing like a Hawaiian shirt at one point?
Yes, I did. I took it off.
Oh.
No, but then like honestly, like it's just been like so much fun watching all of the the drivers like really go all out. And actually, wait.
Except
yes. Oh no.
Raise your hand if you like James Corden. Don't.
Put your hand down. I will literally.
I will
literally. No. I don't even like that. It annoyed me when he did the Broadway version of it with Lin-Manuel Miranda and things. It actually, I think, like did something to his vibe. Anyway, please. That was dreadful. He should be banned.
The stuff that he did with the McLaren drivers. Look, McLaren, if you need a guy who's actually exciting to watch on camera, has good chemistry with the drivers, gd.selmerms@gmail.com. But James Corden is not it.
I didn't see what happened. But
no.
So, regarding the grid walk with
oh, that was fun.
Like all of the celebrities and everything. That was the most awkward thing I have probably ever watched in my entire life. He went up to Venus Williams, and went, Serena, how are you feeling about this? Yes, and then she didn't respond. Yes, she didn't respond, and he was like weirded out because it was Venus. She didn't realize he was talking to. Everyone was awful. Then he walked up to a person who has 22.2 million followers on Instagram, and he looked at him dead in the eye and went, I don't know who you are, but how are you feeling about today? It was so bad.
You know what?
And then DJ
Khaled even give a shit about the grid walk at all.
What?
Like,
I'm going to defend Martin Brundle.
No.
And
On
here
the Instagram one, I'll defend him. But mistaking Venus Williams
for Serena,
tennis players for Serena is a problem.
Okay, that's fine. But Martin Brundle does not need to know every single American sports personality or celebrity.
We
I'm
all
sorry.
understand that. But the thing is, Serena has been at the race, Serena has been at the race before.
Yeah,
she was
a
there
model
last year. So
yeah.
I don't understand why he confused a very tall Venus for Serena. But the other thing is, I stopped watching. I can't stand DJ Khaled. There's something about that man.
There was a lot of people that really shouldn't have been there. That being said, Michelle Obama being there for Lewis Hamilton, that was beautiful.
Anyways,
no worries. Should we keep going?
Take it back. Martin Brundle's grid walk. Did you guys see what he tweeted about it?
Yeah, he was like, I didn't think this was going to be defined by his career.
Yeah, and I don't think he should be.
Why is he being defined? But it was one shitty grid walk. Like,
good.
It's not that deep.
And he won't be. He was a former Formula One driver. If anyone knows what the sport is about or wants to learn about the sport, they will know that he was a former Formula One driver. His commentator career, no one gives a shit about.
Hey, celebrities.
No one really cares.
Hey, celebrities, if you want to go on the grid, know who Martin Brundle is and respect him. Tom Felton from last year's USA Grand Prix.
Or better yet, we could do the grid walk. We could do the grid walk.
We could do the grid walk.
Yeah, we can do the grid walk. We know people. So Formula One, if you would like us to do the grid walk, please get in touch with us at boxboxgoss@gmail.com. Please.
There we go. That's our second.
Or on on Instagram and Twitter, boxboxgoss@1. Please, we need jobs. Amen. On that note, I think it's time we get into the Grand Prix, guys. We're feeling this. Are we feeling this?
Yeah,
we're here. And we have someone really special for the show because she was there. She was there for the inaugural Miami Grand Prix. And we are so excited that she decided to come on our little pokey show. So without further ado, we would like to introduce to you Andrea. Woo woo! Yeah.
I don't know if my mic picks up clapping, but we'll see.
Andrea, yay!
Woo!
Thank you for having me on. I'm very happy to be here today.
Thanks for joining us. We're so excited to get into your experience because this was your first Formula One race and it was the first Miami race. And how exciting that all these firsts just happened to happen. So before we get into it, we always like to ask this question. Tell us, how did you get into Formula One?
So I'm actually a relatively new Formula One fan. I started watching in 2020 after my husband, who had watched Drive to Survive first, thought I might like it. So one afternoon, he just let's just watch the show. He put a first episode on, and it's funny when I hear him recount the story to others and telling them how I got into the sport, is that he was watching my reaction the whole time the first episode was on, and I was just very dead faced, I had no expression, and he actually thought I didn't like it because I didn't really have any reactions. And then after the first episode was over, he's like, "So what'd you think?" And I was like, "Okay, we need to watch more." And I think we binged because at that point it was just season 1 and season 2. We binged it the entire for the rest of the weekend. And then a race was on, I think, the week after, and I'm like, we need to watch the race. And again, also he was kind of unsure because watching a race versus is kind of different from when you see how it's portrayed on the show, because they show all the good parts and all the drama. But then when I actually watched the race, I really enjoyed it, and then I've been pretty obsessed since then.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? It's funny because the races are actually pretty dramatic in themselves, depending also on the track, depending on the conditions. There are way more dramatic races than others.
Absolutely.
Imola is a great example of this just from this year. So yeah, we completely and totally get it, but we're so excited, and welcome to the F1 fam. It's great. Now, of course,
just don't go on Twitter.
Also, no, there are some good parts of F1 Twitter. I think there are some good parts. Our corner of F1 Twitter is actually really sweet. Most of us uplift each other.
Sometimes it can get a little toxic on. Sometimes we get the randomest.
We can get some random stuff.
We can get random stuff.
Our corner of F1 Twitter, pretty solid.
Pretty nice. Yeah, it's pretty chill. But yes, you get, I mean, with any fandom, you get randos. But you also mentioned to us how much you love, how much you want to see like more representation in the sport. Yeah. Do you want to like talk about that and what that kind of means to you?
So I think especially as like for when you think of like who is an F1 fan, you generally think of it's like an older white male, probably someone who maybe is probably a bit better well off, because that's the kind of demographic that you see at races. You see represented on the screen in terms of like commentators. And I think it's just that there's a lot of, you probably heard this word a lot, like gatekeeping around the sport, saying like, you know, who should be a fan, who shouldn't be a fan. So I was actually quite happy when I came across your Instagram page, because not only did I see, you know, it was like there's 3 women and women of color. And I just think that the more diversity in terms of viewpoints and also in fans from different parts of the world, being able to bring their viewpoint to the sport, because I think that that really adds to the richness of the conversation. And also just, again, the lack of diversity within the sport itself. And like, I mean, this year's grid, you have 3 drivers of color, which I think is awesome. So I would just be nice to see more, you know, different people, you know, different drivers and the standard, like, again, privileged white male in the sport. And that's why I think I appreciate what Lewis Hamilton is trying to do in terms of being able to bring more of that. I thought it was awesome that there were 2 W Series races also in support of the weekend. So again, just bringing, shining a light on, again, women in motorsport, diversity in motorsport, that I think then it makes it more accessible to people. I'm saying like I see people, different faces, different backgrounds. So it almost makes you feel like, you know, this is a sport for me versus, well, like it's only a sport for certain people or certain types of people, which I think is not great.
Yeah, no, and that's super important. I mean, I don't know about the rest of all the rest of us, but I know for me, I only discovered other people that did what we did of color once we started this show. And so like, it's been really cool to see more of that and like see like more initiatives driving that. And the fact that now there is a space where we all feel safe. I mean, all of us are people of color, actually on this show right now. The fact that we all feel safe enough to gather and to put this out there on our little cozy corner of the internet, as one of my favorite podcasters like to say, you know, is just shows how much F1 has grown. And so we really do appreciate that. And yeah, we're totally with you there, girl. Just doing more for the sport, especially since, yeah, we also come from a place that it's getting more, like more people are following it as well. So that's kind of cool. And so with that, how was the Miami Grand Prix? Tell us all about it. Like, let us soak in the fact that none of us were there except for you. Like, what was it like?
It was a lot, because it was like the experience was just, I just feel like if I had to sum it in one word, it was I'm not even fully sure like how I really feel about the whole experience, because when we were there we went through all 3 days. So, and you're there for like several hours at a time. And it was also very hot, which I guess you kind of expect going into it because it's Florida and Miami. It's quite hot. But just the amount of like time out there in the sun, it was a bit uncomfortable at times because of the heat. But I mean, the track was the camp was massive. So just to be able to get from like one area to another, there was like a lot of walking, a lot of like going up on bridges. So it's like they almost designed it that, say, if this was your section that you had your tickets in, it was almost kind of forcing you to stay there, because to get to anywhere else would take like 20-30 minutes. Again, maybe that's common with other tracks, but it just seemed like there wasn't as much like centralized, the centralized areas of hubs of activity versus like this pocket, that pocket. But if you really want to try and walk before, it's difficult. So we were actually in the marina section. So the fake marina was quite a trip. I do appreciate the kitsch of it, like, because it seems maybe this is very seems very Miami and very American. We didn't walk towards the beach area because that was also like even farther out. So I'm not sure how they were actually able to bring like the beach theming to it. But yeah, it was funny because they had all those boats and the fake water and just like people taking pictures around it. So it was a trip. But then that area was also a bit shaded. So also, as much as I like, hey, this is like kind of out of the way, it was nice because for the most part, when we were watching either like, free practice and like the qualifying and the race, like it wasn't direct sun. So that was pretty good. Whereas a lot more areas were quite exposed. We did try and walk around and look at the general viewing areas. I really feel that the way that because I've heard in other tracks, if you have a general admission ticket, like you can get some good viewpoints, but here on the track, they kind of made it so that you really wanted to have a seat because some of the areas, like it was hard to see or you don't get great viewpoints. So they're around the area of the actual Hard Rock Stadium, they had general viewing areas there as well. But like, again, it was on ramp. So you're kind of like standing lopsided. So you do get some kind of nice overhead views, but it's just I would kind of imagine just trying to stand there for like the 2 hours to watch a race. It's not comfortable. So I guess they made it so that they want you to be mobile. No, there wasn't really any. And there was entertainment, but like it was hard to access it. We didn't even bother trying because like even on the race communications, they were saying like, there's a small general viewing area with like it's like first come, first serve. But even people who had gone said like it was a very small area that was fenced off, wasn't much space. So it really was catering towards like they were selling tickets for all like these different events throughout the day. So again, it was, if you really want to have kind of the full experience, you really had to like shell out to pay for it.
Makes sense. I mean, I don't know, like Selim, you were at the Turkish Grand Prix and that was a very different experience. It was wet and rainy. Was it like anything similar or I don't know?
Sorry. Before that, were there shuttle buses to go around each grandstand?
No.
Okay, so
it's like you're taking the heel toe express to get wherever you want to go.
That is pain and torture, I'd imagine, because for Istanbul Park, they have a outer road where, you go throughout the city, and then they have an inner road so that there are shuttle buses around the track. So there are shuttle buses 24/7 going to each grandstand. And then we had one main fan zone, which, to be honest, the fan zone wasn't as full as I would have liked it to be as it was when I went into Silverstone. But for example, in Silverstone, when you get a general admission ticket, like there are like little hills you can sit by, like right next to the track, and you're pretty close. Even though I had a grandstand seat when I went in Turkey, I feel like I was much closer to the cars when I was in Silverstone. Because there was places where you could go right in front of the grandstand, right next to the cars, and so the cars were whizzing by right next to you. But yeah, it's interesting how different tracks offer different opportunities. I'd imagine Baku is very similar to some of the stuff that Andrea's mentioned.
Yeah, because like it's a city race, right? So like it's not like an actual, like it's not a track. So it would be hard to like cordon off all of that fun stuff. And it's also in an area, in a neighborhood like we've talked about that did not necessarily want. It's close to, they did not want it there. So I'm not sure how far they could have gone in terms of zoning and things like that. So, but that is so cool and we're very jealous. And that's just great that you're able to have that experience. And so that means since you were there for all 3 days, you got to see the qualifying result as well as the winner of the race. So I guess without further ado, let's chat about that from everybody's perspective and go into all of that.
Before that, I'd like to ask Andrea a question.
Sure.
So this was your first Grand Prix, right?
Yes.
when you heard the sounds for the first time of the cars, how did it feel?
Oh, it was amazing. I think it's not like anything else. I think it's such it's again, it's like music to my ears, I guess. It's just like and just like kind of seeing them zip past. I think it almost just like solidified like how much my love of the sport, just to being able to like be there and experience it. Yeah, like it was amazing. It was amazing. I didn't find it like too loud, or like I was worried because I'm like, will I need earphones? Because is it going to really bother my ears? But no, like it was like, yeah.
Someday.
It'll happen. Sadaf, I did invite you to the Turkish Grand Prix.
You did. You did.
I
And
think
They also do live in a country where you could have gone to
yeah.
in Grand Prix. But
Listen,
Sorry.
I had just moved. I don't have the money for it.
I
I
mean,
did not
fair.
have the money for it. That being said, Singapore's coming up, so I'm hoping to go to that one.
but I mean, you don't have the money for Australia, but you have the money for Singapore.
Of course, it's
That's
selective. It's so much fun.
The thing about the sounds is I thought I would need earplugs as well, so I did like buy a pair. But in the end, they aren't as loud as they used to be. I'll say that much. When I went to the Indian Grand Prix, I think it was V8s in 2013. Woo, those things were loud. Those things were really loud.
What?
No,
I
I'm
do
very
miss it
jealous.
though.
I'm
I have
very
a
jealous.
reel that I need to share. Lewis Hamilton was remarking about that because I think they were driving one around. I forgot which track, but
Abu
like
Dhabi.
he was.
It was the R26, the Renault.
Yeah, and he was like, "There is nothing like that sound." And he's like, he wishes that they brought it back. And I'm like, I also heard. I was like, yeah, damn that. Gotta love it, but we have to be fuel efficient. Anyway, on to the Grand Prix. So for qualifying, we have Charles Leclerc coming in on pole with Carlos Sainz coming in at second, and Max Verstappen, who kind of made a little bit of a mistake on his flying lap, coming in on third, which also caused a bit of controversy because I think someone he said that like Red Bull kind of needs to get their act together about it. And that was kind of funny for me. But just as a note for qualifying, Bottas out-qualified his former teammate in an Alfa Romeo.
That's awkward.
And George Russell, right?
He has no respect for his elders. George Russell has no respect coming from a family of for lack of better words, immigrants from a third culture kid perspective, and
You
from
don't
a
have any respect for
Ghanaian
your elders.
perspective, he has no
sorry.
respect for his
Sorry,
elders.
Ashley.
I
You
don't think
don't
Afishika
either.
should be the arbitrator on
Yeah,
this.
no.
He does not currently
No.
have respect for her elders at the moment.
No, who am I disrespecting currently?
All of us. Anyway,
Well, how the tables have turned for Valtteri Bottas.
I'd like
what's that?
to.
The mic
I'd like to apologize,
for.
Valtteri.
Uh,
I was wrong.
Oh my gosh. Look, listen, he's found his wings. Like, literally, he's found his whole breath. He is now number one driver. It is glorious, and he's here to show out. And we are all miserable for it because Mercedes is. Anyway,
Also, that
That was
Ferrari
depressing
engine
to
is
watch.
jacked.
it is completely
Yeah.
miserable.
I mean, if the tables are turned, yeah, it's so awkward.
It was
So awkward.
no qualifying was like really good though. Like in my opinion, I thought qualifying all the drivers did pretty good except for Max with his little mistake that he's blaming on his team. It's giving kind of giving Lewis energy actually. Anyways, but with that, you see, it's good Saddam lives in a different country because she would have fought me if she was actually here. Anyways,
I would fight you, and I'm coming to fight you. How is that Lewis energy?
Lewis sometimes has a habit of saying that he's made a mistake and then blames it on the team. He has a habit of doing that. He has done that.
He has also had a habit of what's it called? Of also recognizing when he's made a mistake and apologizing to the team. Have we ever heard Verstappen apologize to his team?
No, but in the times where Verstappen has just done something that Lewis has done, it gives Lewis energy.
Ladies, the race is an hour and a half long. This podcast will be 3 if we do not move on.
Anyway, as we move on, now to move on. It's time for the race, which Max Verstappen was singing a very different tune to his team because guess who won?
Woo!
He did. And then it was a 2-3 for Ferrari with Charles coming in second and Carlos Sainz coming in third. And I have a question. And I'm not sure, Andrea, if you could have seen it from where you were sitting, but how come Leclerc cannot keep Verstappen behind him? Every single time that Leclerc has been ahead, honestly, and Verstappen wins the race, it's because Verstappen is able to gain and overtake him, even in a car where Verstappen is not faster than Ferrari. I don't understand. Like, what is this? Were you able to see it from your perspective, Andrea?
So the Marina Grand Stand where I was staying was by turns for 5, 6, and 7, or 6, 7. No, or turns 6, 7, and 8. So again, it's hard to actually kind of follow a lot of the on-track action, and it's also hard to hear. So I will say, like, to watch a race is more fun from home, but I think it's just like to be there is like you understand you're going for the experience and you're going to miss out on a lot of the actual on-track action. Mm-hmm. So it was hard to kind of really follow and see where some of those overtakes were happening, or like sometimes they'll show like things that I'm like, okay, like why are you showing that? Like there's something cool that's happened. Like, can you like go back to that? But from what I heard, I think part of the reason why that there was Charles was already having some tire issues or some tire graining, and that's why he was losing out, and that Max was able to make those pass on him. And just because I'd even seen the lap times afterwards, and that again, Verstappen was really building that gap, and that it was difficult for him to catch up. I thought maybe after which I think we'll get to after the safety car, that he may have a chance to like retake, but unfortunately, it didn't happen.
I think.
I mean,
sorry.
Go.
Driving. So I drive. I do sim racing, right? So I actually drive the tracks and like I learn them, and I learn to drive without assist on manual and stuff. And actually driving the Miami track, the places where you lose a lot of time is, I don't know the corner number, I probably should, but it's the section that goes right before where it goes under the highway. And that string of corners is very difficult. And if you do not get that right, you're going to lose a lot of time. And Red Bull being historically, thanks to Adrian Newey, a very aerodynamically strong team, they make up a lot of time on the corners. So as much as Ferrari has that advantage on the straights, the corners in Miami are a doozy and a half. And so I'd imagine that that's where they're making up most of their time.
Well, I mean, that's the case for Miami, but like for Australia, well, because Australia, they were able, like Verstappen was able to get the jump on Sainz. On Leclerc, right? Am I remembering it correctly?
He was, and then he lost, and then his car lost out of power.
Right, but like before that, Australia has like I think five DRS zones. So like Ferrari should be 4. It should be able to like just go. So then why then was Leclerc not able to do anything about that? It was really yes, Afi.
I believe it's fear. I think they are afraid of Verstappen. Do you remember when Verstappen almost ran over Lewis Hamilton? I would be scared to try anything. I would. If I was in Leclerc's position, I would I would let it be. I would rather have my life.
Afi, why did you come back?
I don't know.
Why are
Actually,
you saying
I have tutoring in the next 5 minutes. So,
Anyway,
So something about DRS for you guys.
please educate.
John Noble tweeted, and I quote, "A little hidden stat on a day when DRS wasn't too powerful, and there were only 2 DRS zones, I believe. Miami delivered the second highest number of overtakes in a Formula One race this year."
wow.
Which was 45, which then Jess McFadden went on to go say 45 is 45 to more than Monaco, and then started a war about whether or not Monaco should be on the on the calendar. It should leave it alone. I want to be sunbathing in a tastefully designed topless bikini with a champagne and enjoying the race. Shut up and let it stay there. Thank you.
That in Miami was the fake marina. I mean,
Exactly.
If you are rich enough to do that in Monaco, you could probably build your own marina in Miami.
Honestly.
with your own fake water.
However, I would like to see them do real water next year. I do love the atmosphere of the track. I think it's a good track. Much better than Jeddah.
No! Jeddah is the best track on the calendar. We all know it.
You are joking. No, it's not. It's
unpredictable.
Jeddah is a fun track to drive, has no atmosphere. Miami is very unique.
That is true.
Yes, and it's
I
very.
really like
I feel like it was very American. Like it encompassed everything about the United States: football, basketball, the celebrity culture, the tequila, which is technically Mexican.
Everything with the motorcade escorting Max Verstappen.
Very much needed.
We can
everything like even Tiffany and Co. They created the trophies. They create like the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah,
you know, like that's what they do for the NFL. So like it was. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think it was more American than the Austin Grand Prix.
And that's crazy. They had the whole flag painted in Austin. So
it's like the most. It's super Texan. Yeah, but Miami was very American. I mean, in my opinion.
Andrea, as someone who was like on the track, how was the atmosphere there? Was it? Because when I was in Turkey, right, it was a lot about the racing itself. There wasn't really a lot in the fan zone and stuff. But did it feel like you were in Miami?
So I definitely got the party atmosphere vibes, like loud music, lots of like small different activations. Like again, like the theming was done really well. Like they had like, I feel like they had lots of different like photo backdrops specifically, like again, done really well for people to like take selfies and show on social media. So I think from that perspective, they knew what they were doing and they wanted to make it look nice. Because again, this race is taking place in essentially a parking lot. With some kind of like, and again, as you mentioned, near like a highway overpass. So they did what they could to make the track look nice. And again, a lot of little things to do in and around the campus itself. But yeah, so I think like, yeah, again, since it's I only have one to compare, but compare from, but I think like they did a good job in that regard, at least making it look nice as much as they could.
Oh, and it looked, I mean, from television, it actually looked pretty impressive given all the issues that they were going through. So yeah, I mean,
but I really enjoyed like again on like the off track areas, how it was painted that like nice vibrant blue. Because like as I was sitting there, it made me think of like when you see on TV at like Paul Ricard, how it has like the stripes. I'm like this, like at least aesthetically is a lot nice, like more pleasing versus the alternating colors. So from from a visual perspective, I was like, I appreciated that. But maybe, I don't know, driving, maybe it was nice to have some of that contrast. I don't know.
In summary, I think Miami is a good version of what Sochi and Jeddah tried to be.
I agree with
And you should get rid of Jeddah off the track. Then.
I mean, like, to be fair, I mean, the thing is that with okay, no offense, but Sochi and Jeddah, they were boring races.
Leave Jeddah alone.
But in terms, okay, Sochi was boring. Jeddah's a death trap.
And they don't have any inclination changes. Miami is not a flat track. And I think that adds to it. Baku isn't a flat track. Miami isn't a flat track. Sochi and Jeddah are. And I think that's where they miss out.
But Miami is flat. But
no, but there are elevation changes inside of the track.
In that sector that I mentioned, it's not fully flat. They go up and then they go down and then they go swoop. Oh, yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah.
I think Miami is a good street track. It's like Baku, right? I cannot wait for us to go. I cannot wait for us to go to Baku.
Which is in June. That's coming up. And guys, we are running out of time, so we need to do final thoughts and wrap this whole thing together. We didn't talk much about the actual racing between like what happened within the drivers, which I think is okay because for a new track we need to get the whole experience. So I guess with that, let's go to final thoughts, and I'm going to start with Essay.
I mean, to be fair, we didn't really need to talk much about the racing because in some parts it was quite a boring race. But then, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that we didn't get to see. I mean, we didn't really see much of Kevin Magnussen and Fernando Alonso and their dodgy battle. We didn't get to see Esteban Ocon storm up the grid to get to the place where he was. We didn't get to see Alex Albon and the work that he did without Lily. But either way, it was all right. I mean, in the end, the American fans won, so it was a good race. I'm just concerned about Spain because Miami's bringing in the star power. We got Luis Fonsi singing the national anthem. I really don't know how we're going to top it. Maybe they could get anthem, but no.
Okay. Next, Selim.
Twitter, but I saw a tweet and it was talking about how the racing isn't the problem, the way that they broadcast it is, so the cameras that they show and stuff like that. And I think they have a lot of work to do on that end, and I think if they fix that, if they work on that, I think these new regulations are actually going to end up working out. I think once we get used to it, once the teams get used to it, once Mercedes actually becomes competitive, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think this year and next year are going to be great. And in terms of final thoughts, I'm quite excited to see where the season goes in the end. I think it's going to be great.
I'm going to go next. And I really don't have much to say except for, and I'm sorry, Andrea, which, by the way, we didn't get to talk to about your favorite driver, but you guys are going to know by the time I finish this, Ricciardo is in a bit of danger.
100%.
Small. Like, it's not looking good for the guy. And I don't, and please, if you happen to come across this, whoever is the prime minister by the time that this airs, don't revoke my citizenship before me saying that. It's just
kick her out.
No, anyway, Ricciardo needs to do something for Spain, or it's not looking good for him. And
I think it's the car.
Also, I'm glad. Well, that could be it. Also, poor Lando, I feel for him. That looked really bad. That spin, I'm so glad that he's safe and he didn't make any contact. And also, Michelle Obama should have been at Monaco or Austin. I don't know why she's at Miami. Sorry. Anyway,
just a little.
you go, and then Andrea closes us. So go, Effie.
Oh, I really like Miami. I'm really happy it's there. It's a good track. And the atmosphere is wonderful. But I think they should have Pitbull singing the national anthem.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you.
Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
It would be brilliant. Regarding the race itself, I will say there were points where I was bored. And I think, and honestly, it's because of some of the things that they filmed. There were times, like the battle between Hamilton and Russell, they barely filmed that. Like,
yeah.
When Ashay and I were watching that, we didn't really see much of that, and that was frustrating because they always tend to stick to the two leaders getting to the end of the race. Sadly. It was annoying, but overall, I'm excited for Spain, even though Spain is one of my least favorite races, just because it can be a bit of a snooze fest. But I think I'm just excited to see how this progresses because I've stopped watching the races just because I'm studying. But by the time Spain happens, I will be done. I would have graduated actually. So I'm excited for Spain. I'm excited to be back on Box Goss, and just excited to see where the season goes. Really worried for Danny though. So worried for Danny at the moment. And I don't want to use the excuse of it's the car because Lando seems to be doing fine. So
a bit of a warning. A bit of an adage. There's an Indy driver named Paddy O'Ward who came in from McLaren's sister team in IndyCar, and he's made it very clear how much he wants an F1 seat. McLaren should be scared.
Mm-hmm. And Andrea, take us home.
Okay, I have a few. I hope that's okay. So with regards to Daniel Ricciardo, so I'm saying that as a self-professed Daniel Ricciardo fangirl and huge fan of his. I agree, but I think he sees it coming. If you have seen some of the comments he's made in terms of him being able to reflect upon, his career thus far and, how his performance in terms of when he moved to Renault, basically after leaving Red Bull, that I think he knows it's coming. I think, again, he's going to finish out his season, the 2023. He'll be able to race in Vegas, which he has mentioned that, that's somewhere he wants to race. And then he's going to retire because, he hasn't been putting up the performances. I was very happy to see him win in Monza, but again, there's certainly car challenges, which you've mentioned that Lando's not having. So, I think he's had a good career. He's had quite a few podiums and several wins. So, he can go out with his head held high. And I think that he's built his own brand, that there's going to be a lot of things for him that he can branch into and do outside of Formula One. So I think maybe 2023 will be the end of maybe seeing Danny in a Formula One car, but not the end of, seeing him on some other platform, or, maybe he'll do some F1 commentary in the future, kind of Nico Rosberg style, who knows? But I think that's okay. In terms of the race, I think Miami's a one and done for me. I'm glad that I went and got to experience it. But from what I have heard, there's other tracks where you can go to that you can get way more value for your money in terms of the tickets were crazy expensive. And I guess you have to expect that for a Formula One race, but in terms of what you paid and what you got, I think you can get better value elsewhere. So I look forward to being able to see another Formula One race. I'm thinking probably Montreal, because again, as a Canadian, that's a more local track for me. But also I've heard it's it also produces really good racing, so I'd be excited to go there. For the race, I want to be able to rewatch it, because again, when you sit in just one area, you only kind of see as a car zips by. There really wasn't any overtaking opportunities within that marina section. But I have a F1 TV, so I also like to be able to kind of the option to be able to flip through, so you can see more of where actual cool things happen. Kind of you mentioned that battle between Lewis and George and seeing kind of where those that overtaking happen, like to be able to see that, because again, it's sometimes they get so fixated on just like one part of the race and you miss out some of the other cool stuff that happens. But yes, some of it even like also seemed kind of a snooze fest, because I'm like, until again the safety car happened to shake things up, like there really wasn't, like you just saw Max ride off into the distance and then Charles trying to catch up, and that never really happened.
Could you hear the English commentary from where you were sitting?
Yes. I will say I really enjoy the Sky Sports commentary. So I think they just had in the local feed, which I don't know. I was like, I enjoyed my Sky Sports commentary.
Thanks, NBC.
What I did when I was at the track in Turkey was, because they had Turkish commentary, not very good Turkish commentary. And so I put in my earphones and I had the Formula One app with the actual commentary as I watched the race or qualifying.
Oh, nice.
Just so I could keep up. But yeah, if you're going to, like Andrea said, if you're going to the track, it's very much about the on-track experience. It's not about trying to keep up with the race. But
there you have it. Some very good top tips on what to expect at your very first Formula One race, which neither three of us have done, but it's okay.
Hold on.
Andrea,
wait. There's a possibility that I could watch it from a hotel room. So
congratulations, Afi. Anyway, Andrea, thank you so much for joining us. We always ask this of our guests, where do you want to be found? Do you have anything you want to plug? Feel free. This is your
I mean, I'm on Instagram. I recently created a Formula One account because I realized like some of your, like a friend of mine had told me, like, as your friends, like they'll care about your stuff, they'll like your stuff on your main, but like, they really don't care. So like you should maybe consider making a separate Instagram for your Formula One stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So I mean, I've created one, but I don't know if I really want to use, if I'm going to actually use it. But anyways, I would actually encourage hopefully more people follow you, Box Goss, and just like support your community, what you're doing. I really love it. I hope to be able to like catch more of your shows. I know with our time difference is a bit challenging, but I do hope that you get to watch a race in the near future, because I would love to hear your commentary on a race. Thank you so much for having me as well. I had a great time.
Oh, thank you so much for being on the show. And we're so glad that you're a part of our community, as we like to call the pit crew. We support our pit crew and we love them so much. So thank you so much for being a part of it. And thank you so much for joining our show. And we can't wait to hear more about your further F1 adventures. And thank you all for joining today. We are excited to be back. Maybe the younger one will be back for Spain. I have no idea. We'll see how her somewhat busy schedule will be. I don't know. She seems full of it. Anyway, but until then, we will see you in 2 weeks for the Spanish Grand Prix. We hope it's just as exciting as Miami. But until then, we'll see you later, pit crew. Take care. Bye.
Bye.